Hi, welcome to Local Matters. I'm your host, Ken Moore. I'm doing a series of interviews with the candidates for the local school board elections here in McMinnville. We have 4 open seats, 3 are contested. There's 6 candidates running in those contested seats, and I have another one of those candidates with me here today. If you've missed the other interviews, you can Google Local Matters with Ken Moore, find the YouTube page, and you can see all those other interviews. But today with me, I have Al Witaker. Al, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
So you're stepping up to challenge?
Well, first, I don't even know where I'm supposed to look. And I want to remind everybody the camera adds like 40 pounds. So, beyond that, you tell
I
me
think
what
your
to
best
do.
luck is just right here. We're going to have a
Perfect.
conversation.
Right.
And,
thank you.
Well, you bet. Now, why you're running? Can I start with that?
So with that, I've been a big talker for a long time and always have opinions. You know, Mary Stern's first signs got put together in our garage, and I pontificate dinner party. And talk's fine, but I want to start doing something. In the last year, I had some issues of hip surgery and a heart attack and cancer. It was a really bad year.
Wow.
I'm fine now.
Wow.
Totally, it was.
That got you thinking.
Kind of, not all, Ferdinand smell of the roses kind of things, but I thought, it's time to start acting on things.
Wow.
And then the thing that kind of got me moving was I think it was last fall when the bidding process for the re-roofing all the McMinnville schools. Mm-hmm. Well, it worked out that Washington Roofing, a really strong pillar of our community, and I mean, you could go there and ask them for anything, and they will help out. Wasn't allowed to bid, didn't make the process.
I saw
now, that you shouldn't get the bid because everybody likes you. That's tad cronyism with a capital crone, but you ought to be able to bid. And the talk was, well, they got a consultant, and he says this other kind of roof. And I was reading the paper, and the reason given, Larry in particular, in this particular interview, was we just can't change horses in the middle of the stream. Well, yeah, you can. You're a grown-up. You're in charge of helping other people. You're spending local money. If you've made a mistake, you own it and you fix it. You don't just plow forward. I expect that from my 14-year-old daughter. But that just kind of struck me as inappropriate. Now, had the quote been, we like the built-up roofing because it has certain features and maintenance costs and this and that, that's fine. But not, well, we already spent this money on a consultant. Every consultant has an agenda. I consult. I walk in a room, they know I'm going to try and solve a problem with life insurance. If your only tool is a hammer, pretty soon every problem starts to look like a nail. And that just kind of got me.
All right, that got your attention.
Well, yeah, now
I want to get involved.
Yeah.
Now that you've been a parent here in town.
I still am a parent, actually.
Okay. How many years, your kids are how old?
My son's a sophomore at McMinnville Mac, and my daughter is a 8th grader at Dunaway. And I should say right off the bat, they have had a phenomenal experience in their education in McMinnville. And anything the school board had to do with it, they ought to pat themselves on the back. Good job. I see problems. I mean, they come from a house where we're very involved parents. I mean, and they're very lucky in that regard. I go to you go to book battle. My kids all made the regional level, and I mean, we read like fiends. Well, my wife gets them reading, and it's always the same parents at these things. And my son's in ESA, and my son was the very first class of the dual immersion group at Columbus, and they're blessed having parents that all parents want to help. Most parents want to. They're in a position where we can be involved. We have the time. We're not a single working parent that's tired of working 2 jobs. And I look around, and not every kid has that. And kids don't get to pick their parents. You see people say, "Oh, it's a parent's job." Well, kid doesn't pick that parent. And I've seen friends of my children, and it's hurt. We have a responsibility as a society and a community to help these kids. I mean, that's what makes everything work in America, is that anybody can be anything. It's all based on education. And where does education start? Right here. So it's important that we look at what we're really trying to do for these kids. And it's not, I like that we get high test scores. That's great. I like that we have model schools, 2 in 1 district. That's unusual. I mean, they're doing a real good job. But let's step back a little bit. That's not our primary goal. That's an indication of what you're doing. But are you really doing what you want to do? I want to enrich children. I don't necessarily, I like the pathways, you learn a trade, but I don't want to tell a kid at 16, oh, we've pegged you to be whatever. Now you're in this trade class. They're 16. I mean, I want to enrich a child. Or be a part of enriching it. The teachers are doing the enriching. I'm just going to try and stand back and give them the tools to do it best. my mom describes education, I'm sure there was a question in there somewhere, but two people walking down a couple blocks of a street. One's got more education than the other. Not smarter, more education. At the end of those 2 blocks, you ask them what they saw. The educated person tends to see more. We're teaching them to see more, not learn to be something, learn to be a part of our community. We have a responsibility. And I'd like to be part of that. And I think I'd be pretty good at it. Does that make sense?
I like your enthusiasm. It does make a lot of sense.
I have that in spades. so yeah.
You have 1 child in high school and 1 in middle school.
Yes.
There's a decision to be made now about the high school.
Right.
It's older, it's being outgrown. Are we going to remodel it? Are we going to start a new one? Are we going to have 2 high schools? How do you see that?
I haven't been a part of the process to look, so I'd be a little reticent to just jump in with my answer. But as I understand it, they're talking about raising money to build a new high school, taking the old one, and then they're going to use that for district offices and elementary school, and then rent or sell part of it or whatever. I imagine they've chosen that because it's an easier pill to swallow as far as raising money. It fits the immediate needs. I'd hate to see us back away from a challenge to do something better if we can. And like I said, I haven't been a part of the conversation, but what the school board comes up with, wherever they choose to do to help our kids, if I were a part of the process, I would certainly play a big role in helping to support it. But one thing I think that educators and people in the education industry, so to speak, need to keep in mind, there's a certain arrogance when you see these bond measures. And their pitch is, don't you love your kids? Well, I don't think that's really a fair question. Of course we love our children, but you're switching out bills, you're figuring out what to pay. I think we should have more faith in the intelligence and the compassion of our population to tell them why this is a good idea, not just, don't you love your kids? And explain it and show it. And I have faith in the people in McMinnville that they'll buck up and do what we have to do.
Having faith in the public seems to be a theme of yours. We were chatting before, and you talked about
butt a few times, I'm sure.
And you were saying that you had heard that people don't understand Common Core. They don't.
I didn't say they don't understand Common Core. I was reading yesterday's paper,
right?
And it was Larry faces Challenger, Witaker, Challenger, and one of the things concerned was that people are concerned, and I believe it's because they don't understand it, and. Well, I thought that was a bit condescending. And I don't know Larry couldn't pick him out of a crowd of 2. I've seen his voter pamphlet picture. I've been to school board meetings, and in all honesty, there was always because my kids were winning something. And so I was looking at my kids, not the school board, and it wasn't a real business meeting. But he said, people just don't understand it. I said, that's kind of the same thing. Well, then explain it to me. And he went on to say that it's about a standardized curriculum and getting everyone in the country on the same level. And I understand that. And as I understand Common Core, it's about teaching children to critical thinking and reasoning rather than memorizing answers. Well, who wouldn't get behind that? But it moves at a pace I'm not sure we're really ready for. It's a lot of teaching of the test. And when he says they don't control curriculum, well, if you have a standard test, it's not going to be long before people are going to figure out, well, if we study this, we do best on the test. So it is a curriculum. By the very nature of it, if it's the same test, everyone from Arkansas to Alaska is going to figure out pretty soon time to read The Tale of Two Cities, or that's a waste of your time. It's only as great literary work, but I don't see it anywhere in the test. And I talk to math teachers, and they're already having to make decisions about, for lack of a better word, cutting kids loose. And if a kid can't keep up with the pace to get where they have to be, they have to just forge forward. They will try and help that child. At that point, okay, you're no longer on our test track, but I'll help because they're teachers and this is what they want to do with their lives, but they have to keep that thing moving. If you fall behind in math early, it's math. How are you going to catch up? My daughter was taking the Oaks test a couple years ago, took it, superior excellent, and shout out to you, Scout, and she took it 2 more times. And I have no doubt that that was to help with the school. The school does this. Someone's telling them to do it. Someone's telling that person. Somewhere there's someone making a decision that this is our priority. And part of it has to be. I understand that. I don't want to be crazy, no tests, kumbaya, but let's just take a look at this. So it's a lot fast, and let's just explain it and not this teaching to the test. It frustrates the teachers, the ones that I talk to. They don't like it. Yet at the same time, the country needs to move forward. We need to learn, and we have to have some way of judging what we're doing. But I think that this might be just not a little too myopic.
Okay.
In the
Okay.
approach.
You've been watching your kids go through school.
Yeah.
You've probably been into classrooms. You've been participating in their programs.
Kids don't want me to, mine don't, but I do. Every now and then, Dad, stay home.
Why is that?
No,
Kids don't want
I'm
to
put on this earth to embarrass them, and that's kind of my job. And I take that part very seriously.
They'll look back and love you for it,
I
for
think
showing
it's okay.
up.
We do help out when we can.
Well, as you've been involved, what are some favorite memories? What are some programs that you've seen that you just thought were outstanding?
Well, like I said, my son was in the first class of the dual immersion program, and it wasn't
Tell
just,
us what that is, dual immersion.
Yeah, it started at kindergarten. Half the class was Hispanic, half the class was Anglo, coming from a lot of native Spanish-speaking families, and obviously English. And they would learn throughout the day in both languages. They found studies show that you can teach a different language kid to read in their own language, and then come back into the English. They're way ahead, I think, by like third grade, than forcing them to learn to read in English when they're home in a Spanish-speaking household. But that wasn't really necessarily the best part for us. What I liked was that my kids are sitting at a table from a completely different part of the city, a part that it's not meant to be, but you just don't see it always mixing all the time. But we're going to these are his classmate friends. So we got sucked into that. So everybody's going to all these different things that I wouldn't have had access to, and my kids would not have had access to. I mean, we're at a birthday party. There's just generations. I'm the only one in the building can't speak Spanish, just rhyming my ignorance in that area. But it's just this great time running around, and you're sitting at tables with kids from a completely different background, and in the process, you're learning to speak Spanish. And I think it'll help the whole community as these kids go through this and come out the other end. So that was wonderful to watch. Watching my daughter, she just, I mentioned the book battles. She's got this just freakish memory, and she just loves to read. And these kids, 4 little girls at a table, and they'd say, what hotel number room was it? And so, I mean, it's amazing what they have to remember. And they'll dive in, and she'd come up with the answers, and they advanced quite far, and it was really fun to watch that. And that's a positive memory, but as my son approached middle school, no plan for 6th grade. We started asking in 2nd grade, what are you going to do with these kids in 6th grade? Oh, we got a plan. 4th grade, hey, what's coming up? Middle school's not that far. Oh, we got a plan. And then he's in the 5th grade. Well, it depends on if this levy passes. I go, you had to have a plan with or without a levy. Don't just hide behind that. That's another one of those things, like, come on. And I've talked to some teachers. That's just the world they live in. They start something, and then there's no follow-up. It's all, the window we look at is, like this year, the test this year. Let's just look further, because we're educating kids forever.
Al, you've given us a lot to think about. 15 minutes has just gone that fast. One thing I've heard
Sorry
from you,
about
though, is that I've observed is that your kids are lucky. You said you don't pick your parents. Not everyone has the opportunity to be involved with their kids as much as you have. Maybe they've got other stressors in their home.
Despite a desire to, I'm sure.
Yes, right. But what you're coming to the table with is you want to help those kids have the kind of experience that your kids have had.
I just want to help any child. I think that we have a responsibility and an opportunity to really make the most of this. And so the testing, we can try new things. We're in a position we've done well in the past. Hey, let's use that and learn something new.
All right. Well, I sure thank you for running.
That did go fast.
Thank you for stepping up and doing this.
Hey, thank you for having me here, man.
All right.
That was fun.
Thank you so much.
We all done?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, for today, that's it. With Al Witaker, Ken Moore with Local Matters. Thanks for watching.